especially could not imagine sharing the intimacies of a marriage bed with him. He was a thin, abstemious man who looked at rich food as if it were poisonous. If she became his wife, she'd never see a cake or a sauce again. His mother was just as thin as he and ruled the roost. She'd make any wife's life intolerable. Above all, Hermione didn't like Porteous. She wouldn't harm her family by insisting on love in a beneficial marriage, but surely she shouldn't have to marry someone she didn't like. She'd responded to his proposal with a request for time to think, claiming discomfort with his replacing her dead brothers. He'd not pressed his suit, but she imagined him now like a cat watching a mouse hole, confident that she'd have to emerge into his claws in the end. "Please let Great-Uncle Peak be as rich as we think, and please let our interpretation of his invitation be correct, that he's dying and intends to leave his all to us, his only close living relatives. Please." She was urging her wish upward to whatever powers attended to a selfish maiden's prayers, when the door to the corridor opened. She turned quickly to whisper to the servant to be quiet, but the man coming in was no servant. He closed the door, flipped the rotating bar into place, and then leaned his ear against the wood, listening. Even from where she sat, Hermione heard rapid footsteps in the corridor and urgent voices. She stayed fixed in place, hoping the intruder would leave before noticing that she was there. Then she thought better of that and eased to one side, toward the poker. He turned sharply, and across the room his eyes caught and reflected the light of the flame. Heart thumping, she grasped the poker and stood on guard. But rather than attacking or fleeing, he raised a finger to his lips in a clear shush gesture. Stunned, she couldn't think what to do. She should shriek for help, but that would wake the boys. Even worse, anyone who ran to her aid might leap to scandalous conclusions. And he wasn't attacking her yet. The room was lit only by firelight, which hardly reached his shadowy corner, but she could make out a tall man wearing an ordinary outfit of jacket, breeches and boots, though he lacked a hat and his hair hung down to his collar. Who was he? What was he? Tinker, tailor, soldier, sailor, rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief. As if he'd heard the thought, he turned toward her again. She made herself meet his eyes, trying not to show the fear that had dried her mouth. She could hear no disturbance in the corridor now, so she jabbed her finger outward, mouthing, "Leave, or I'll scream." His response was to lean back against the door, arms folded. She glanced at the door to Polly and William's room, but it was in the wall closest to the invader. He could block her way in a couple of strides. She was going to have to scream. Then 2-year-old Roger stirred and whined, "Minnie." The man looked sharply at the big bed. Hermione dashed to put herself between him and the boys, poker in hand. "He's not really awake," she whispered. "But you must go. Now." He relaxed again. "I'm afraid that's not quite convenient." At least he too spoke softly, and with a surprisingly well-bred accent. That didn't mean he was safe or honest. Times were hard for everyone. "It's not at all convenient for you to be here," she said. "I will scream if you don't leave." "You'd wake the children." "And the whole inn, including whoever is after you. Be gone." If he'd made a move toward her, she would have screamed, but it seemed an odd thing to do when he remained leaning against the door. "If you fear people inside the inn, leave by the window." He pushed off the door and walked with easy grace to look outside. "You think I have wings?" She could escape through the door now, but she couldn't abandon the boys. "I thought thieves were adept at such things." "That's doubtless why I'm not a very good thief." He turned to her, and a touch of moonlight illuminated one side of a sculpted, handsome face, tweaking her memory. Did she know the rascal? How could that be? "The window looks onto the inn yard," he said, "and there are people down there. Someone would be bound to notice me scrambling down the wall. And then—" he drew a finger across his throat. She sent him a look of powerful disbelief. He nodded. It must be play acting, but she didn't want to be responsible for a death. The corridor seems